Hi everyone and welcome to my channel where I practice my English. My name is Kasper and in today's video I want to share something with you. It's not going to be a typical speaking practice session where I answer sample questions from IELTS exam, but I want to tell you something personal. So, today, I'm going to focus on my parents. Uh, I've had a brainwave that, sorry, I hope you can't hear it. The sirens are wailing, and I've got an alert uh, sometime. I got an alert some time ago that they are going to practice the system of alarming. But if you hear it, who cares? So, where was I? I'd like to tell you some stories of my parents' life, and I'd also like to mention a few words about them. Who were they as persons? So, where to start with? I hate to say it, but I lost my parents pretty early. My father died when I was 18, and my mother died when I was 26. She died 3.5 years ago. So that's a real shame. But life is tough, as they say. At least they say it here in Poland. I don't know if there is an English equivalent of that phrase. Alright, so the interesting thing about my family is the fact that my father was Polish, and my mother was Ukrainian. But um, my grandfather from my mother's side was also Ukrainian, but my grandmother, I mean uh, mother of my mother, was Russian. So I have mixed roots. I can call myself half Polish, half Ukrainian, or half Russian. And it's pretty out of ordinary to have mixed roots here in Poland. Alright, so my parents met in 1990, I believe it was. And my father went abroad to the former USSR to work. He was a builder, and he worked in a small town uh, called Antracyt. It's a mining town in the Donbas area, where that horrible war is going on for ages. And as much as I've heard, that town doesn't exist any longer. It was destroyed during the Russian invasion on Ukraine. But that's another story. So my father was working there on the construction. He was a builder, and my mother was working at a shop, at a supermarket, to be more precise. And they met, they started dating, and after a while they got married. In 1992 they moved to Poland. Uh, my mother's reasoning was that she'd like to have a better life in Poland than in the USSR. To some degree, she had a point, because in her region uh, there's been a war, and in Poland we haven't heard of war for 80 years now. All right, what can I say? Yeah, they moved to Poland after the wedding. They got married in the USSR, It's funny actually because I was skimming through the documents of my parents and I found the copy of the certificate of wedding. It's all written in Russian and it's extremely interesting for me to hmm, to learn something more about my family's history. And it isn't an easy task because I have very few relatives. I have very few living relatives. It's me, my both brothers, one uncle, and one cousin, and that's all. So the hmm, I don't know how to say it, but uh, what I want to say is that there are not much person that remember the living history of my family. So all I have to investigate are the documents. So yeah, after a while, after the wedding and when they moved to Poland, my elder brother was born. And the funny thing is, after some time, my mother took my elder brother back to Ukraine, and they lived there for, I believe it was 6 months. And she told my father that she's going to visit her parents and she'll be back in 2 weeks. But the return delayed, let's put it this way, and she came back 6 months later. My father thought that she left him and took the child from him and went back to her parents' place. But to his great surprise, she came back. And the argument for that was that she came to the conclusion that my brother, her child, would have a better future in Poland. And she was totally right. If she hadn't come back, I wouldn't have been born. I wouldn't have been born. So it's good. It turned out good, I guess. So I was born in 1996, 2 years after my younger brother was born, and we lived. We struggled day by day. We, we were a pretty much less well off family. We were always, as far as I remember, in a deep need of cash, and we lived in poverty. Of course, we had something to eat, we ate regularly, but all I remember from my childhood is the fact that we didn't have any money, practically at all. No money at all. But hmm, it's a difficult subject to discuss. But I think we had a relatively happy childhood. Um, we came from, I mean, my brothers and I, we all come from a deprived home, and my parents struggled with different sorts of addictions, but I don't have many bad memories from my early childhood, so that's the good thing. The things started to change when we got older. Our teenage years were really difficult because my parents got divorced in 90 no in 2009, and it was a really good news because our father was an alcoholic and we were I know how it sounds. It may sound scary, but we were happy that we finally managed to kick him out of the home. So yeah, um, the judge granted custody to my mother, and for a while we lived happily. But it started to change rapidly uh, when our mother started drinking heavily once again. Mm, so yeah, what else I want to add to this that um, as far as I remember, my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, they all struggled with different sorts of addictions. Mostly they were alcoholics. But I'm really happy to say that my brothers and I don't have so much problems with this kind of sicknesses. So that's a good news. Mm, so yeah, where was I? I've mentioned a divorce, problems with drinking. Hmm, I don't know. What can I say? To be honest, I can share stories about my parents for hours and hours. But is there any point? I don't know. Maybe it is. But I don't want this video to be too long because I go to work soon and I need to cook some dinner and to get ready for job, for work. So yeah, what else can I say? After the divorce, our lives became tough because of the mother's drinking. We got rid of one problem. We solved one problem with our father, but our mother started drinking, and it was so much worse than my father's drinking habits. Because my late father was pretty much always absent. He was rarely seen at home, but on the contrary, my mother was always present, and she was unbearable when she was drunk. It was a real struggle to live with her, but as the time went by, I went to the military. When I was an adult already, I went I joined the army. I went to the military, not as a regular soldier, but on some summer course. Yeah. So I spent one holiday, one summer in the military, but I earned enough money to move house, and I took my younger brother from my mother's place, and we rented a small apartment. Uh, yeah, we rented a small apartment. But that's a whole different story. Mm, my living with my younger brother. Can I share some interesting stories about my parents? Maybe that one will be a good one. So, my mother once told me, actually, she repeated this story a few times during her life, but once she was coming back from work and she soon realized that someone was following her. And so she started walking quicker, and someone who followed her also started walking faster, and she started running, and he also started running. And after a while, she thought that she's not going to escape, and she decided to confront the person who was following her. And to her great surprise, it came out it was her future husband. He wanted to talk to her, to approach her, but uh, and that's the funny thing about the story because she thought that she's going to die soon, and my father just wanted to approach her and say hi. So, really funny story. Hmm. Overall, my parents had a really, really difficult life. Not together, but on the whole. They were sick people, they needed help, but they didn't get it. Mm. Sometimes I feel a real shame because I couldn't do much to help her. I was still a child, and now as an adult, I know I could have done more. But to be honest with myself, when I was younger, I couldn't have done nothing. It was their responsibility to take care of each other and to take care of us, but they failed this task. Hmm. My father died as a homeless. That's an important thing to share, to highlight. And he became homeless after the divorce. And as horrible as it may sound, but it was his choice. He had a choice. Um, he even got a, a welfare room, a room provided by welfare. So he had a place to live, but under one condition that he would stop drinking, and he wouldn't. So he got kicked out of that place, and I may confuse facts, of course, but I tell you the story as I remembered it. So he became soon homeless, and during the winter, during one winter, um, he got to live to our place. I mean, after the divorce, and pretty much we saved his life because he had nowhere to go. He slept on the mattress on the floor, and when he he was sick, everyone sometimes gets sick. We also took him to our place. So from time to time, he lived with us after the divorce even. So our relationship didn't come to an end when they got divorced. Hmm. I wasn't really close with my parents, and now, as an adult, I come to a realization that I don't know much about them, and now it's too late. All I have that is left are some vague memories, some stories, and I perfectly realize that most other stories remained untold, and there is no one left who could tell them to me. So yeah, that's a real shame because when I was younger, when I had a chance to ask them some questions, I didn't want to. I didn't felt I didn't feel a need to ask them those questions, and now it's too late. Do I regret it? To some degree, yes, but overall, life goes on. I know it may sound harsh, but there's no point. In there's no point in finding more skeletons in the closet. I will check the idiom later. So, what else? Hmm, I don't know what else to say. They had really difficult lives, and my brothers and I had also difficult lives with our parents. But terrible things sometimes happen. That's the way the life is. Hmm. I don't really know where I'm going with this, so I think it's the time to wrap up this video. Maybe if I remember some other stories until I press the stop button on this record. If I remember something, I will tell you immediately. But nothing comes to my mind anymore. It's my parents and my family history is an extremely broad subject to discuss, and this video could have lasted 4 hours, but it wouldn't. Um, it's a spontaneous video as always, so it lacks structure. So sometimes I change topics rather fast, and the video may be chaotic. But if you are willing to listen to it, I'm really happy. If don't, never mind. Getting an audience was never a point of creating this YouTube channel. My main purpose is to train spontaneous speech on various topics. Um, and I heard once that it's a great video. Actually, I made a video a few weeks ago about my inspiration. I mean, it was day number 14, as far as I remember. I talked about a man that inspired my YouTube channel. So yeah, maybe one day I will tell more about my parents and my family history. But for now, it's time to say goodbye. So, bye. See you in the next video.